There's my stoop. And on warm summer nights, all through the neighborhood, you would hear the sounds of young Italian men romancing their women.
Hey, Marie!
Get in the fucking car!
Leave me alone.
Come on, baby. You know I love
Yeah,
you.
bullshit.
Get in the fucking car!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to This is 30, where today we're going to be talking about one of, if not the best, mob movies you'll ever watch. At least I think so. And today we're talking about A Bronx Tale. Now, Bronx Tale was, how should I say this? It was originally a one-man play done by the writer and actor, Chazz Palminteri. And look, this man, the story to A Bronx Tale is similar to the story that Sylvester Stallone had with Rocky, and is similar to the story of Nia Vardalos when she did My Big Fat Greek Wedding. They basically had one-man shows or a script, and they ended up making millions of dollars over this one story that gained them notoriety. So from my understanding and from interviews that I've seen Chazz do, I call him first name basis because, you know, we're good like that. So Chazz has said that he literally was paid $1 million for the script. And that's awesome. So went out looking for a director, and guess who did their directorial debut? None other than one of the stars of that movie, Robert De Niro. So here's the thing. Robert De Niro wanted to direct this in such a way where there was only 3 actors in this movie. And those 3 actors was going to be himself, Chazz, and can anybody guess who the last one is?
The kid that played C?
Nope. Because anybody who was in that movie actually started their career there. Come on, he's a funny man.
Joe Pesci?
There you go. Joe Pesci himself. Those were the only real 3 actors in that movie. Other than that, everybody in this movie was basically just Joe Schmoes off of the street that walked into a screening and said, "Hey, I'd like to be in this movie," and they auditioned and they got it.
Well, the actress that played the mom, Katrin Narducci, is an actress. I mean, she went on to be on The Sopranos later on.
Yeah, so but that's later on. I'm talking about prior to this movie. Almost nobody was a actor. Everybody was just
trying to say is this movie, like there's only 3 very well-known actors, like whether it's their debut here and they moved on to do other things. These 3 actors were in other things before, and they're the well-known names.
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah. So look, this movie had a budget of $10 million. And at the box office, it made only $17 million. So yeah, you could say that it made its money back and then some, but that's not where they made all their money. They made all their money from networks picking it up and playing it on TV. They made it from VHS. Later on, they made it from Blu-rays and DVDs. And now, wherever it's streaming, Chazz is making some.
Oh, he's making bank. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And so is Robert De Niro. But anyway, so let's talk about the movie, guys. What do we, you know what? I'm going to start it off a little different. I'm going to tell you guys the 3 favorite lines that I have of this movie.
Oh, boy.
Now, the first one is so these are not in a particular order. So obviously the most famous one is, what's better, to be loved or to be feared, right? That's number 1. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is, put him in the bathroom. And the best one is, now you guys can't leave.
that's going to be mine.
Yeah.
That's definitely my favorite. That's my favorite.
But
line.
as a
That's my favorite
runner-up,
scene.
I'm gonna give you this one. This one also. It's a little long, so I'm only going to say the first part of it. So it's something along the lines of, for $20, you saved yourself a headache and a favor. That one was pretty good too. So which one did you guys
got off cheap?
Yeah, you got off.
I'm gonna pick the worthy one. It don't take much strength to pull a trigger, but try getting up every morning, day after day, and work for a living. Let's see him try that. Then we'll see who the real tough guy is. The working man is the tough guy. That was a heart-wrenching scene when the
Robert
kid,
De Niro
Robert
was
De Niro,
talking to his son.
yeah, that might be one of De Niro's greatest scenes in all of his any movie he did. But that was so heartfelt. You felt that between what it takes to get to be a hardworking man and trying to stay in the straight and narrow, and then the quick fame and fortune to live the crime life, the mob life. But I'm sorry, I went on my tangent. What quotes did you guys like? What else did you guys like with the quotes?
You guys keep picking like scene, or at least reminding me of like scenes that like I'm like, yeah, I would have picked that too. Between like the talk that Robert De Niro had with his son with C. And then, of course, like the famous, biker fight scene, where he locks the door, Chazz locks the door and says, "Now you can't leave." And there's like what follows afterwards, which is just like one of my favorite scenes, probably of like that era of like in any like crime drama movie.
Oh,
But definitely that was my number one. Like once he said like you can't leave, and then like the dialogue of like it's like C narrating, like the looks on their faces dropping, and like they knew like how much trouble they were in. I was like, oh, this is about to be wild right now.
It was in that moment that we knew we fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, listen,
yeah.
So those scenes with the bikers, I believe there was 5 guys there. 4 of them were actual real Hell's Angels.
That's crazy.
And one of them was a good friend of theirs who was also an actor. So they actually used real bikers. That's not just some random Joe Schmo that has a beard and long hair and says, "Hey, I came here to audition as a biker." They actually used real bikers. And at the time in the 90s, the Hell's Angels were thanks to Chuck Zito. Chuck Zito was the one that actually pushed the Angels to get into acting and everything like that. So anyway, we're not here for a Hell's Angels 90s history lesson on what movies they were in. But that's a quick little nod to things that people should know about it.
Grim, what is there a quote you would like to pick from the list of great quotes on this movie?
It's less of a quote, but definitely more of a situation, to the point where this actually could be used as everyday wisdom for when you meet that special someone. The door test.
Yes.
Oh, but see, here's the thing. You can't do that anymore because she or he
It depends on what year your car is. If you have a newer car, absolutely. But at the same time, still, it does call. So, like, all right, if we're coming down to quotes, you lock both doors, you open up her door, you come around the back, and if she doesn't move over to unlock your door, dump her fast. Because if she's not willing to do that little thing for you, then what else is she willing to do? Or he, it is a gender specific, but yeah, that is something that it's like, oh wow, yeah, that's real.
Yeah,
I just really appreciate it.
Big laugh out of that scene because I almost didn't catch that at first. I was like, "Why is he cheering?" And then like he explained, I was like, "Oh man," because she unlocked the door for him. Like, "Oh come on, man."
So it's like,
old fashioned, but so
why
funny.
are you so happy? It's an Italian thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So old fashioned.
As it goes on with This Is 30, this is the part of This Is 30 where Johnny 64 comes out of nowhere and says, "So let's start with hit it, Johnny."
Put the man on the spot, why don't you?
Yeah, geez, what do I start with?
No, because see, the thing is though, Johnny likes to give like a quick rundown of the beginning of the movie, and we're going to veer off on that.
No. Well, I mean, I want to say that this was actually my first time seeing the movie in full. I've caught like I've seen like
Put him in the
certain-
fucking bathroom.
Yeah, right. So
You know what,
I've
Johnny?
seen.
Bathroom for two, because this was also the first time I saw this movie in full.
There we go. Thanks, Big Rim.
Yeah.
Like a true friend. Yeah, I've seen like certain scenes on TV, like here and
Put
there.
him
I
in the
never watched the
fucking
movie
bathroom.
beginning to end. And what like after seeing like not even like after seeing the whole movie, like after like the first like the intro and the first few scenes, I'm like, this is totally the Sandlot of like crime dramas, like Italian mafia crime drama movies.
Okay.
Like just the way, like there's so many similar. Like if the Sandlot was like a rated R like crime flick, this would be it. It's basically like because they're both set in the '60s. They're both talking. You know, they're both centers on a kid that's kind of like like the kind of the new kid on the block or somebody a kid that gets into comes out of his comfort zone and start like discovers like a whole new side to a neighborhood that he hasn't like experienced before. He's making new friends that get him into trouble, things like that. So the way it's narrated. So like we just did like This Is 30 on the Sandlot. You guys know whoever watched that, that's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Link below.
So that link will be to that video below as well. But that resonated with me instantly. I was like, oh, I am totally going to love this movie. I can just tell right now, just because of like it had that nostalgia factor too. Like it was so like authentically like representative of everything that was going on in those neighborhoods during the 60s and like Italian culture and Black culture and things like that. And so like you felt like you were like in that world with them, like you were experiencing like those stories, like, oh, like I know these neighborhoods, like, oh yeah, like even when I go to like my family that have like in Brooklyn, like that's how things can be in those neighborhoods too. So like everything felt like very real and very like nostalgic, and like it hit all the same, like I liked it for all the same reasons that I love the Sandlot, or I love this movie for all the same reasons why I love the Sandlot. But yeah.
So what you're saying is that This Is 30 has popped your Bronx Tale cherry, both of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this channel. It's exposing us to all new things that we haven't been exposed to before.
To be the Chazz to Johnny's Robert De Niro for a hot second in this one. In the beginning of the movie, for a good portion of it, I half expected everything to freeze frame and Ray Liotta to say, for as long as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. And I felt like that for a good portion in the beginning of it, literally thinking to myself, this is just B-class Goodfellas. I feel like Goodfellas did this better. Hang on. Goodfellas was doing this better. But then, as we actually did see things progress in the movie, we, again, to what Pancake said, a lot of, I feel, De Niro's best acting was in this movie, and he carried me throughout the entire beginning of this, and then the movie picked up around after the first half hour. Then I'm like, okay, this is getting good. This is really, I'm invested, because now we have a main character with not one, but two fathers on different sides of the tracks now, which I felt...
I love that.
I felt it was amazing in the sense because it wasn't even like, no, don't do this, do this. No, you should do this. It is the same wisdom in different forms. It is the same bar of candy in two different wrappers, and I loved how everything came together at the end. Honestly,
it was basically a conscience situation. It was.
Yes, it was.
He was in the middle of two sides of conscience.
But see, is it though? Because what was Chazz's name in that movie? Sonny, right?
Sonny.
Yeah.
So was Sonny really bad though? Because all he did was he told
Sonny did two things.
No, he was bad. I thought
he was bad.
Okay, let me rephrase.
I think the word to describe Sonny is complicated.
Yes. So Sonny is complicated because he was basically doing and saying the opposite things, but he was also telling C how to do things the right way. He never gave him any bad information. Everything that he told him was like, well, if you have a skill, then do it. You know, it sucks if you don't use your skill, it's just wasted, right? So he's not saying to him anything bad. He's just telling him like, look, people fear me because that's my job, for people to fear me. But you can be loved because that could be your job for everyone else to love you. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to, you know, veer to the good side or to the bad side. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. He's a conflicted character, and it's established in the beginning he does bad things, like shooting that guy in.
No, he's not conflicted. Sonny knows exactly what he's going to do. He knows exactly who he is, and people are going to fear him in the sense that they're going to kiss his ass, laugh at every single one of his jokes, and do whatever he wants because of said fear. He knows exactly what he wants. He gets it. The fact that he does shed good wisdom throughout the entire movie does also add to that character. But to say that he's complex, I would say that. To say that, you know, he doesn't know what he wants, he knows exactly what he wants.
I think the beginning of the movie shows off his bad side, and as the movie progresses, you start to see the cracks start to show a bit with like how he shows he's being protective of him rather than trying to drag him into his world. He knows what's good and not good for C, it like from his point of view. He's like, okay, I've dealt with these things in my life. I don't want C doing the same thing. But in the beginning of the movie, you see him take him under his wing. He kind of tries to act like a father figure, which is really, in my opinion, it was really, it showed his disrespectful side. And like, I totally was on the side of Robert De Niro when he had that confrontation with him, saying like, get away from my son and everything. Like, yeah, he's not your kid. Like, stop trying to influence him, like, so that side of him, I felt like was really portrayed well in the beginning. And then as we went on, you saw like those extra sides to him that like made him more than just a typical mafia boss.
One thing the movie didn't shy away from and definitely captured the racism at the time, like the Italians in my neighborhood, this is our neighborhood, stay the hell out. Anytime C's friends were on screen, I just wanted to smack the shit out of all four of them.
Oh man,
those
what a satisfying
assholes.
end to those characters.
Yeah, exactly.
They met their maker.
The movie definitely didn't shy away from the terminology they used, the horrible things they were yelling at those black kids that were just driving by doing nothing wrong. And C with the clear head just saying, what are they doing wrong? They're not bothering me. And one's like, oh, they're bothering me. They should not be coming through here. It starts with one, and they're all gonna come.
They legit wanted to, like the main guy, like the main friend in that group, like legit wanted to kill them, which was like,
exactly,
this guy is just a bad dude.
And that was when they were kids in a bus. Remember?
Yeah.
In the beginning, when they were kids, and they're like, "Oh, look at those!" And blah blah. I want to hear. Like, bro, relax. You're 10 years old. What do you know? Oh, my father said. Oh, okay, sure. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so chip off the old block. Chip off the old block.
Fun fact with the Sonny character, it's me going back to what you're talking about with the beginning, like Stallone with Rocky. Like Stallone wanted to be the one to play Rocky. Chazz wanted to be the one to play Sonny, and all the studios that were making offers for a script, he just saying no. I want to be Sonny. This is my story. And then when De Niro approached him after seeing the one-man show, he's like, I want to be your partner. Let me be the director. Let me play the kid's father. So De Niro took a different approach and giving Chazz what he wanted. Only he could play Sonny. I mean, that was the role he was born for. Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
What?
Go ahead. You guys have anything else to add?
Oh, you just abruptly ended, and I was like, "What?" Okay. Anyway, so
sorry.
I just want a leather jacket now. I feel like after watching this movie, I want to walk around in a leather jacket. I'm not even joking.
I definitely don't want a fedora. I'll be honest.
I mean, I have a fedora, but
over the top, in my opinion. But I guess it's how they dressed back then. I don't know.
But see, did you notice though that not only were the Italians wearing leather jackets like that, but even when you went to the other side of the neighborhood and you went to the black neighborhood, right? Everyone was wearing leather jackets over there too.
Just stylized different.
Yeah, in the 60s, everybody was just wearing that, which I thought was pretty cool, but I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it showed like two different neighborhoods, two different styles and cultures. You know, like I felt like, you know, the ones in like the black neighborhoods, like they had like their own, like, you know, groups and cliques going on that, you know, maybe they had like the, you know, the underbelly of their neighborhood the same way that like the Italians had the underbelly of their neighborhoods. And obviously the focus was more on the Italian side, but yeah, like you said, like the way that they dressed, like they had like their similarities where I feel like, again, you can almost see like a two sides of the same coin type of thing that we were talking about with like Robert De Niro and Sonny, just like at a, you know, broader neighborhood level. But yeah, you know, now that like I think of it, like just like I'm noticing that too. So
yeah, and even C dealt with it. Like he stopped at a certain corner, or when they were all around the scene of the car on fire after it got blown up, like they were yelling stuff back at C's character, like "Get out of our neighborhood." And they were cursing him out, like how his racist friends were doing to them when they were going through. So they were back in that era, very territorial. You don't cross the street there. You stay over there. So Chazz and De Niro definitely captured that really well in this film to capture the times. I definitely take the leather jacket for sure. I don't know if I definitely got my fair share of doo-wop music for the year. I know we're big on soundtracks and movies and stuff like that, but I brought a fresh year when they did play the Beatles Come Together in the part of the movie when it was in 1968. But definitely enough doo-wop music to last me for a long time.
Speaking of the doo-wop music, maybe it's a good time to talk about like the love interest in this movie and that part of the story. So I feel like that they're the ones that tie these two neighborhoods together ultimately in the story. And it was kind of like a little bit of like a little Romeo and Juliet-ish, but not really.
I was gonna say it's Romeo and Juliet-esque. It's not fully that, but it is definitely
minus the suicide at the end.
Well, thank God for that.
Without the suicide,
it is definitely like two different parties from the opposite sides of the tracks meeting each other, coming together. We do find out that, like, you know, the female interest's brother got attacked by the male interest's friends, which I'm like, that is Romeo and Juliet. Yep. Holy crap. And I just loved how that did eventually work out. It was questionable writing, I felt like, at a certain point, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? This is like a side focus from the main story, so I'm willing to allow this.
Yeah, but they kind of explained it like 2 minutes later when, you know, the brother turned in a line.
Oh, my brother told me that you weren't one of them and you tried to save him.
But here's the thing, though. Something extremely hurtful was said right before that, to the point where I'm like, you're just forgiving him right after he said that thing? Like,
he said it was
I get what you're saying there. That point is questionable.
Yeah, and he used hard R on that, and it was like, ooh. And then 5 minutes later, so my brother said it was okay, and, you know, you saved him and everything like that.
Shouldn't matter.
Even C was like, fuck, when he said it. Like, he knew he was done.
Regretted it the second he said it.
So they kind of erased that whole thing in that following scene with her when she forgives him kind of like on a dime. So that was probably like maybe the one weak point of the story, but
maybe there's like
an important anyway.
Maybe there's an extended scene that got cut that helps.
Doesn't matter. It better. Listen, not everything is a Snyder cut, thank God. But there's that one scene I do want to talk about, though.
Yeah,
because it is a scene that I would arguably say we all saw coming, and for me, it is a scene that I should have seen coming, but I didn't, and I was still kind of shook right after that. Right after the car, C drops it off. The whole thing with the love interest happens, and now here comes C being swamped by Sonny's guys, and Sonny thrown against the wall saying, found something in my car, what'd you do with my car? And we were told the entire time, I don't trust anybody. But I like to think we as an audience, we're all thinking, yeah, but C's the one exception. C is the one that you've treated like a son this entire time. You never do anything like that. And
Right.
Sonny treated him like everyone else. And I'm like, I was taking it back for a second.
You have to think of it from his perspective, right? I'm a mob boss.
Yeah.
I don't trust anyone, and I don't blame him at all. I wouldn't trust anyone either. Everyone's out to kill you, right? I mean, that's what happened at the end of the movie. You're in a room full of everyone that loves you. You're all partying, having fun, and some guy comes out of nowhere and just says, "Oh, let me blow the back of your head off."
But that was like, I felt like an ingenious, like pivotal scene for C, because up until that point, he was really looking at Sonny as like father figure, like father number two, not even father figure. And like he could do no wrong. He knows more than my actual dad. Like everything he says is right. But then that part where he has him up against the wall and accusing him and saying, I don't trust nobody. That's when it started to click. Like, oh, this is the real difference between him and my father. Like he is not a good guy. This is what he has to do just to survive. I am, maybe he treats me like this one day, but the next day he won't trust me and just treat me like anybody else on the street. And now I understand. So that was I agree. That was like probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie too. Just because of how well it was acted, but like also just like that was such a great way to like give him give C a wake up call, basically.
Yeah.
What about in the end with the full circle moment with the kid? After the kid of the guy Sonny killed in the beginning, full circle, now fully grown up, to get the revenge on the guy that killed his father, shoots Sonny in the back of his head in his own bar, to emphasize the danger of the mob wife, like why his dad was so protective, including the scene why Sonny had him up against the wall of the gate, like, what did you do to my car? So C got to see the full extent why he can't be full in that life, and why both of them were trying to protect him.
I agree. I think again, it really did show that, like, as we stated earlier, like, no one can fully be trusted. Anyone can get into anything, and as C pointed out, room full of people laughing, smiling, except for one guy. One guy I just can't take my eyes off of. The one guy that isn't smiling, slowly approaching like a fucking jaguar and a gazelle. And once he gets close enough, there goes Sonny. But
I hate when movies do that. It's like, why are you screaming out no? Scream out Sonny duck or behind you or something. Like, I get it, it's part of the storyline, but it's like, how many times
it's a movie thing. I think it's like a movie trope.
No, not even that. I'm going to say it is a product of its time, because things like this happen all the time in movies of the 90s, in like the 80s and stuff. It doesn't happen so much now or in like the 2000s, even the 2010s. Again, like Johnny just said, it's a trope, and I feel like it's something that can be forgiven at the time. But I do have an honest to God question. Like we said, at least like Johnny and myself have seen this for the first time. Maybe you guys could shed a little more insight other than the obvious, no, that's not it. What was the whole purpose behind that first shootout in the beginning of the movie?
So here's
over the parking spot.
Here's the thing. I don't know. Pancakes doesn't know. Johnny 64 doesn't know. Big Grim doesn't know. And guess what? Chazz doesn't know either, because when it happened to him in real life, he's still, how old is he now? In his 60s, 70s? To this age, he still does not know why that happened. His father knew why it happened. So yeah, I've seen a few interviews about it, and
very interesting. Yeah,
his father knew about it, and every time Chazz would ask him about it, and we're talking about years later, like Chazz's father passed away, I think, in his 90s, and he kept asking him even right before he was, passing away, and he was like, "Why do you need to know? It doesn't matter. You don't need to know these things." So if that's what his father is telling Chazz, then you know what? I think we all should listen to what his father says and say, you know what? We don't need to know why that guy got whacked.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I will say though, so like going into this, I thought, and maybe I was thinking of like Goodfellas or something, but like I thought that Joe Pesci would have a bigger role in this movie.
Nope.
And like that's the thing, like that's maybe the one other thing of the story that kind of got me a little bit was just like it ended quite abruptly because like Sonny gets killed. He's at the C's at the funeral and everything. He sees Joe Pesci, and I'm like thinking like I feel like this was a movie that had a whole extra arc to it that we never got. Because you think like, oh, like Joe Pesci is coming in now. He's going to be like a new, father figure, maybe to Sonny or new, like showing, that life from a new light or whatever. And we just kind of cut straight to credits after that. I'm just like, well,
that's the thing though, Johnny. That's the thing though, because Joe Pesci coming back in is still C's way of like, this is it. This is the pivotal moment, I feel, for C, because obviously Sonny getting shot is the climax. Now we're winding down, and now we realize with Joe Pesci coming in, I'm gonna clean up. I'm gonna take care of the neighborhood for a bit. You ever need anything, you come down to the bar and I'll help you out. And that's the moment where it is: do you still want to be part of this life, or do you want to not be part of this life?
Right.
And C says, I appreciate that, but for now, I'm good. And Joe Pesci does leave the door open for that, but we blatantly see, thank goodness, C and Robert De Niro walk out of the funeral home together as father and son.
Also, I believe that Pesci's character was Sonny's boss. Because in the beginning of the movie, he saves him by putting him in the car and telling him to take off. So after that, he goes, I was gone, but I'm back in the neighborhood now, and I'm going to take care of you all.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Pancakes.
No, I was going to say, I didn't realize, I haven't watched the movie in a long time into, obviously, when we were doing this. I didn't realize that Pesci's character at the end was the same character, the older version of the character that Sonny saves, the guy that gets hit with the baseball bat. He's like, when he says, "Hey kid, do you even remember me?" And when he shows the mark on his face, I'm like, whoa. Originally I thought, oh, he just appeared in the movie because he's a real life friend of De Niro, and he was just adding name value to the movie to get more eyes on the film. But that was.
I was half expecting him to smile and show the gold tooth from Home Alone.
Yeah.
And then it'd be the post-credit scene tie-in to Home Alone from there. That's how he takes care of the neighborhood.
But isn't it ironic for one of the most famous mob movies of all time that has De Niro in it, directed by De Niro? De Niro's not the mobster for once. He's
I think that's kind of great in its own way.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what's funny? You bring that up, and if you really think about it, this movie
De Niro was not a mobster.
No, yeah, we know that. But if you think about it, this movie is not like when you think of mobster movies, it's always, oh, Italians this and Italians eating and blah blah blah. Like they're doing like all these Italian tropes that are just.
No, we got some tropes in here too. Lest we forget the very beginning, Italians going to their mates. Get in the fucking car. I'm sorry, Maria. You know you're the one for me. Just get in the fucking car. Dude,
but it wasn't shoved down your throat like in every other thing where it's like, oh, like every other scene was something like that. This one was like bare bones. It was simple.
I didn't think there was like they weren't being portrayed as caricatures, which I feel like other Italians and other shows and movies tend to be.
Right.
Like I said, there was like a neighborhood authenticity to how they were portrayed, which I really liked. Like I said, like even though it's a Bronx versus like Brooklyn, say like like my family grew up in Brooklyn, and very similar kind of like just dynamics with like how like neighbors just say hi to each other, things like that. Like you just got like that, you get like that. That's part of like the nostalgic feel for me, I guess. Just like seeing like that's how Italian people are like around the neighborhood. Minus the mafia part, which not involved in any of that, obviously. But I'm just saying, it's just like that like old-fashioned type of like neighborhood, like neighbor to neighbor type of relationship you see around the movie, which I liked.
So yeah, look. Does anyone else have anything else to say before we close this off?
Question.
Because
I feel like the final question needs to be asked. Spade, does this stand the test of time?
Yes.
I think, hold on, before we jump to that. Well, we're jumping to that, but I think personally, I believe that this is not just standing the test of time. This is certified classic. Like, you
absolutely.
can't get any better than this. When it comes to this movie, I personally put it in my top 3. When it comes to mob movie, top 3.
Really?
Top 3. And honestly, that's a video for another day. I won't spoil the other 2. But anyway, so like I really think it's I don't give that out saying that something is certified classic to just anything. And Bronx Tale, there is not one thing that you could watch about that movie and hate it or despise it. It was true to its core. The story was authentic. The acting was good. Everything was just it was like a fine, well-tuned machine. And you know what? I personally say certified classic.
I agree wholeheartedly.
One of the last things I'll say: the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And this movie truly holds up. It's like a fine wine. It's getting better with age, and it will forever be a classic, in my opinion.
As someone who did not see this movie, like I said before this viewing, when Spade suggested, hey, we have a list and a Bronx Tale is on it, I was excited to watch this movie at first. So for someone who hasn't seen it and be excited, most definitely this stands the test of time. As Spade has said, even as like one of the best mob movies. I do agree with that.
Better than Godfather 2, though.
Let's leave that for the comment section. So, guys, let us know what you guys think. Is this in your top 3, 5, 10? Let us know. Tell us, did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think that, what we said was not good? Or do you agree wholeheartedly of what we said? Let us know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And that's pretty much it. We're out. Roll credits.
Roll credits.
Now you can't leave.